Well, here we are talking about yet another shock performance at this year's tournament. It was Mumbai. It was supposed to be a high-scoring ground, the 180, 200 types, which if gets reduced, goes into the 150 range, not to 106. Yes, folks, that is the result of the 20 overs that Chennai have bowled. Punjab, a star-studded side, a hard-hitting side, have only managed 106 for 8 in their 20 overs. Yes, we've seen some films in Bollywood that have been flop shows, but times that Shahrukh Khan, despite that, has starred and played a starring role. Never mind how you interpret that, gentlemen. It still was Shahrukh Khan playing a starring role, Shahrukh Khan, the cricketer, in a performance otherwise, Joy, that was a bit of a flop show.
Oh, it was a bit of a flop show. And see, this is bound to happen. Ever since we started this IPL and we've been talking from the preview onwards, the one thing we said Chennai had a problem with, Punjab had a problem with was there were no all-rounders. So they basically played 6 batsmen and 5 bowlers after that. Because, Riley Meredith going at 7 is way, way too high. I mean, those are the kind of batsmen that cannot go at that level. Riley Meredith should be going at 8 or 9. So at this point in time, the kind of batsmen that you have, the kind of team that you're trying to put together, if you have this situation, once in a while, you're going to be 19 for 4 and that tail is going to be exposed. That's one of the realities of living with a short batting lineup that you're trying to maximize the top order.
We'll come to that in a moment. I did give a nice Bollywood opening, but sometimes if you have to talk about a Bollywood film, you need the opening sequence. And I need to repeat my opening sequence and say welcome to all of you to this mid-innings show of a rather dramatic first innings on Cricbuzz Live, brought to you in association with our fantasy partner, My 11 Circle. Joy Bhattacharjya has given his opening opinion. Michael Vaughan, how do you rate that innings? I know we'll talk about Jadeja, but it would be disappointing to say the least for Punjab.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Joy's absolutely right. If you don't have a deep batting lineup and your top order don't fire, there's no chance that you can get to any kind of total. I don't rule out any possibility of this being a tight game because it's the IPL and pretty much every game goes to the last over, but surely this one doesn't. I thought Chennai were absolutely magnificent. They had the movement. Chahar was exceptional. Sam Curran set the tone. Those first 3 or 4 overs set the tone of the game. We said that before the game that they were going to be crucial, which side was going to assess the conditions the quickest and the best. Well, Chennai did that, and then you had the electricity of Jadeja in the field. It was a near-on perfect display by MS Dhoni and his unit. But Punjab, when you're thinking of Jai Richardson at 7, you can't be having Jai Richardson at number 7 if you're going to really compete in this kind of competition where it's full of real high-quality teams that bat so deep, have many all-round as well. Punjab have decided to go with no all-rounders. It's a strange strategy.
Well, now that Michael Vaughan and Joy have both alluded to that, we thought we'd actually put up some numbers, comparative numbers, and look at all the teams in this year's tournament and see who bats at number 7 for the respective teams. And you'll see there's always someone who makes an impact. In this Chennai lineup, MS Dhoni, the last game, batted at 7. Dan Christian, Jason Holder, Andre Russell, Krunal Pandya. You can see everywhere it's some kind of an impact player. Even Tom Curran, who maybe comes close to Jai Richardson, was batting ahead of Chris Woke. So this tells a story, Michael Vaughan.
Yeah, and it's surprising with the amount of kind of thinking that goes into these teams. You're talking about matchups when the game develops and who can strike against who. And generally, the basic principle of T20 cricket is you do have to have batting depth. That allows your top order to just go out there in those first 6 and try and crash it if you lose 2 or 3 wickets. Yeah, you don't want to, but at least you've got depth in your batting to try and get you back into the equation to get to something near par. To have Jai Richardson coming at number 7, I can't think that Punjab have got their selections right. They need to find an all-rounder. They need to find someone that can play that role. Moses Onreach is a player that could potentially produce that role. Chris Jordan, I don't think he's a good enough batter to bat at number 7 either. So they're going to have to rejig their system, Punjab, to try and produce more of a powerhouse batting lineup deeper down the order.
Joy, the counter to that, if there is a counter, is that the likes of 7 and 8 on average in T20 cricket don't face that many balls. But still, you've got to be prepared for these eventualities.
Absolutely. First, apologies for mixing up Meredith and Jai Richardson. I was just so upset by what was going on. But the point remains the same. No, I think if you have a limited team, it could be a very hard-headed call saying that I think the last time I did it, I was in the Kolkata Knight Riders at that point in time, and we discovered that the average number 7 faces about 6 to 7 balls. That's the average throughout, the tournament. But 6 to 7 balls also doesn't actually, it's an average. So there's a day where they might be required to face 20 balls, 25 balls, and that day could be crucial. And that is essentially the issue. And you cannot see. The other thing is we talk about Rahul not playing with freedom. We've been talking about it. His sort of head is bowed, and his run rate had gone down last year. Dude, if you have Richardson batting at 7, you will be worried. Of course, you'll be worried. You're wondering and saying that I get out, Gale gets out, and then any one of the others nicks it off, and we're into the tail. So he is worried for a very specific reason. He hasn't got that support at the back.
Yeah, and also, Joe, when you start talking of averages in terms of the balls faced for number 7, so say it's 6 balls on average, those 6 balls, your number 7, you would expect in that position to go and get you 18 to 20. That's what you want from your number 7 to have impact. Jai Richardson can't get you 18 to 20 inside 6 balls. So your number 7 position needs to be a player that can deliver that, knowing full well that you hope he doesn't have to because your top order fires on the majority of the occasions, but every now and again you need your number 7 to be able to come in there, and pretty much every game he'll get, and he might just face 2 or 3 balls. Can he hit 2 6s? Can he hit 1 6 just to change the momentum of the game? And I don't think Jai Richardson can, so they can't really have got their tactics and selection right with Jai coming in at number 7.
Yeah, and you can a lot of names down that list that we saw can pretty much do that. Dhoni definitely, Andre Russell, Dan Christian, but let's put that, we've made our point. Give credit where credit's due. Deepak Chahar, he was really responsible for the fact that Jai Richardson had to come in and bat when he batted. And it all started with that magnificent delivery to Mayank Agarwal. There will be certain dismissals that you get that are bonuses, but that was an out-and-out top-order bowler's dismissal, Joy.
Oh, what a ball. What a beautiful ball. That's what they call a proper Jaffa. You can't do anything. Staying on there, and then the fact that it took the top of off stump, it's just one of those dream deliveries. And, I know, God knows I've been hard on Mayank in the past 3-4 years because I just feel he's too talented a batsman and he's not giving the scores he likes. But any batsman in the world, there's not a batsman in the world who could have survived that ball. That was just a perfect delivery. And then, of course, funnier than that, you've just got this terrific wicket. And after that, when he goes and appeals, the expression on Dhoni's face, the last time I saw that was on my nursery school teacher when she told me, go and stand in the corner right now. And, I sort of turned around and quickly scampered and I don't know what I'd been doing. But that's exactly the point. Deepak Chahar was absolutely fantastic. And that exchange with Dhoni was really funny as well.
It was. And obviously Dhoni keeping an eye on, that's what he did well. What about Deepak Chahar's spell? If we could try and break it down in terms of the numbers there, you can have a look at it. Started with that's the Mayank Agarwal wicket in the first over. Then one of the things you don't see here is that review that he wanted, not allowed by Dhoni. Couple of boundaries he goes for, doesn't let that phase him. It was just sheer dominance with finishing off his spell with a wicket maiden, just when you think there could be some sort of recovery, Michael.
Yeah, the key to that spell was the first over, setting the tone and setting it so well with the early wicket. As a team, you get off to a flyer with that early wicket. You feel confidence as a group, having lost the first game. And as an individual bowler, I can only imagine what it feels like to go for very few in the first over when you've got a wicket. So it gives you a bit of a spring in your step. And also, he found a bit of shape, finding a little bit of swing through the air. Again, we haven't seen a great deal of that so far in this year's IPL. So when you get it, you've got to maximise it and you have to exploit it. And that's exactly what he did today.
I was listening to Harsha on commentary, Joy, and he said something very pertinent when Deepak Chahar was given the third over inside the power play. He said, if Deepak Chahar is getting that third over, Chennai are doing well. Because there are times when he gets hit, maybe he'll bowl 2+2, but if he's doing a 3+1, they're obviously on the ascendancy.
Absolutely. And look, Deepak is one of the few guys who can swing the ball. The ball only swings for the first 4 or 5 overs in the IPL. If that. On a good day, it swings for 4 or 5 overs. So he's getting that means that the ball is still got something in it. He's getting something out of the ball. He's getting something out of the surface. And the other thing, they finished him off today, 4 in the trot. And that's interesting. That is also a perfect situation for them because Deepak Chahar really doesn't do anything for them. They realize Dhoni knows well up, he's not a death bowler. He doesn't want to use him as a death bowler. He's got great options now. He's got Sam Curran there. He's got Dwayne Bravo there. Now, the interesting thing is, if at some point in time they take off Dwayne Bravo and maybe decide to go with a spinner or something like that, bring in Imran Tahir or something, I'd be interested in seeing how they work with Deepak Chahar there.
Or even if Lungi Ngidi comes in on a wicket where you know there's going to be a little bit of carry. What's the support that he had? Let's have a look at the bowling figures, because yes, one person can make a huge difference, but he had plenty of support. Sam Curran may have just picked up that one wicket, but he had impact early, came on and finished things off. Bravo looked good while he was there. And of course, Jadeja, ignore everything, Michael, that he's done with, if you can, with in the field. His 4 overs with the ball, A, it came quickly, and B, it also added to the impact in the middle.
Yeah, 14 dot balls. Remarkable inside 4 overs. 2.2 overs of dot balls for Jadeja. That's what he can deliver. I mean, there was a little bit there. There was no sense of the batters having that freedom to try and strike it because of the situation of the game. And, you know, you pretty much, he dropped one short, actually. I was surprised by that. That went for 6. Shahrukh Khan splattered him for 6 over mid-wicket. He doesn't very rarely drop too many short. He probably expected Shahrukh to be dancing down, and he just got done by some clever footwork. But I thought all the bowlers were exceptional. You know, you kind of look at a bowling unit and a bowling performance and a fielding performance. I don't think that can be bettered. All right, you know, you're looking at Thakur. He got hit a bit, but I don't think he bowled too badly. He just got. I don't think you can ask for a better fielding and bowling performance than Chennai have just produced.
Yeah, that was a dancing interlude, Joy, for a typical Bollywood film. If a Shahrukh film doesn't have a bit of dancing, and of course he got that 6 of that, that's my last bad one for the day. But Jadeja, the fielder, Michael alluded to that briefly earlier. His run out, his catching, it's just overall his presence in the field has made a huge difference to this being 106 for 8 and not a 130 also.
Yeah, and it's something we always talk about. I mean, the Indian fielding coach, R. Sridhar, he said that he's been the best Indian fielder in the past decade. Gautam Gambhir, who getting a compliment out of is like getting a dental extraction, he turned around and said that after Jonty Rhodes, Jadeja is probably the most complete fielder around. And I was thinking about that and said 2 things. One is the number of times he hits the stumps, even if the player is not out. The number of times he hits the stumps is amazing. Secondly, I always believe that to be, the mark of a great fielder. How many times, even in difficult catches, he gets both hands on the ball? I mean, great fielders, even the Mark was fantastic with his anticipation, was they get both hands on the ball because they just know that the odds of getting it are greater. And he's fantastic. Yeah.
Hold that thought. Michael and I on Cricbuzz Combox, he threw a challenge at me asking, is Jadeja the greatest ever in terms of Indian fielders? He certainly feels so. We came up with his namesake, Ajay Jadeja, and maybe Azharuddin. Can you think of any others who would match him? Indian cricket history?
See, I'll tell you, close up. As a close-up fielder, probably the greatest close-up fielder was Eknath Solkar because he had, amazing reflexes up front around it. But that's not Jadeja's position. I'll tell you, if you look at his position by position, I mean, if you look at point, I mean, Azharuddin in the outfield was fantastic. A very early Yuvraj Singh was very, very good early on in his outfield.
Kef as well?
Kef was brilliant, but nobody with Jadeja's, I mean, the combination of catching, accurate throwing, and just, boundary coverage. Yeah, coverage, absolute coverage is what for me is a big, big thing with this game.
Yeah, a lot of aspects, Michael, we mentioned. You certainly mentioned in terms of catching, accuracy, throw, power. But one more aspect to add to that is his coverage. If we had a little watch on him to cover the amount of ground that he covers.
Yeah, I mean, the Premier League football over here, they have these systems on that tells you how far a player's run throughout the game, and it's kind of the data system that teams look at. And also when you're signing players, you're looking at how far these midfielders in particular travel and these win backs. Well, I reckon if you had a GPRS on Jadeja, I don't know many that travel further than him. Maybe Glenn Maxwell. Glenn Maxwell seems to go from long on to long off, kind of over to over, so he'll travel plenty of ground. But I would say Jadeja will be right up there with the distance. And, I think the skill in a fielder is anticipation. They anticipate the ball, where it's going to go before the ball actually reaches the bat. They can see something in the batsman that they're going to play a certain shot in a certain way, and they anticipate and they move towards that area where they know the ball's going to go. That's the skill by just studying, staring, and just having that unique ability to assess where the ball's going to be from the blade. And that's exactly what Jadeja does. And he makes I mean, the catch from Chris Gale, he gets two hands for it. Any other fielder, I reckon, would have had to have dived and go one-handed because they wouldn't have anticipated it as quickly as Jadeja. Because he anticipated and he goes to his right and then he gets the opportunity to get two hands. And Joy's absolutely right. He gets two hands to many catches because he gets close to it because he's fast, he's agile, and he anticipates better than most.
The only thing he saves one hand for is when he does his one-handed celebration with bat in hand. And let's just round off this discussion by saying that he also probably is Chennai's number 7 at best of times. Dhoni won't always bat at 7. So if that's the class of batsman you've got at 7, well, you know you've got some plus points there. Let's quickly look at the Chennai lineup because the run chase is very shortly about to begin. Enough calm heads in there, gentlemen, to know that this kind of total should not give you a problem. Look how far down you bat. You don't want to get that far, though.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, this should be a walk in the park. I mean, what I think the only thing that Punjab can do is try and get early wickets. And both, I mean, in that sense, they're lucky. They have a couple of wicket-taking bowlers out there. Shami is really good up front. They throw the kitchen sink, throw your best bowlers. Don't worry about your fifth bowler. See if you get something out of it. And that's the only thing you can do. And bring in the field. I mean, there's no point keeping the field out and all attack, get in a slip. What's the point? You know, this is not a total you can defend. You can only take wickets. You're not going to be able to defend this total.
Yeah. Michael, yesterday it was about tactics. You know, it was slower balls for Rajasthan versus maybe slightly different from Delhi. What's today's tactic going to be or should be for Punjab?
Yeah, just be aggressive. Try and hit the top of off as hard as they possibly can. Try and get some movement. Use your slower balls cleverly, sparingly to the right players. If you think someone's coming hard, vary it. You might get a couple caught in front of the wicket, mid-wicket, extra cover, mid-off, mid-on, those kind of areas. But from Chennai to get off to a start, I mean, I know we're early in the competition, but you have to look at net run rate. You know, if you get the opportunity to finish this game quickly, do it, because down the line in a few games' time, all teams, we know what the IPL brings. It's always down to that net run rate, those fourth position, third positions in the list. So if you get an opportunity, even early in the tournament, get the game done and dusted as quickly as you possibly can.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point. I hadn't even put it down in my thought process. Makes a lot of sense. If you have that base, go for it, finish it off quickly, not just because we want an early night. What will be fascinating, gents, to finish off the show is the score at the 6-over mark, because yet again, of course, we were miles away from getting even close to that 106 as a prediction. But we can get close to this one because it may not be quite the attacking approach, Joy. But at the end of 6 overs, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking at least 47, 48, because I don't believe these guys are going to hold back. Their attitude is going to be, I think the top 2 or 3 batsmen are going to go hard so that they get a real advantage and run rate. The others, if a couple of wickets fall, they'll slow down a bit. But I think they'll try and say, let's finish this in 12, 13 overs.
Okay, I'll go for 39.
52.
Oh, well done. Michael's going for it. Michael's going for broke. He wants the men in yellow to win quickly. And that should be absolutely fascinating. So 39, 30s, 40s and 50s. We've all got it covered. We're going to see you in the 10th over. Hopefully there'll still be enough of the match going on Cricbuzz Combox. This has been our mid-show on Cricbuzz Live, brought to you in association by our fantasy partner, My 11 Circle.